The arrival the morning Dr. Rebecca Hayes received the signal it would change everything. She was drinking coffee and reviewing data from the Kepler Space Observatory. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had spent 15 years searching for signs of intelligent life among the stars. She never expected that life to come looking for them first. The transmission came through every deep space communication array simultaneously at 0847 GMT. It was structured, mathematical, and unmistakably artificial. Within minutes, observatories around the world confirmed what their instruments were showing. Massive objects were approaching Earth from the direction of Alpha Centauri, traveling at a significant fraction of light speed. Director James Morrison of the Global Defense Initiative arrived at the facility within 2 hours. He was a tall man with graying temples and the kind of steady presence that came from 30 years in military intelligence. Morrison had been preparing for this possibility longer than most people knew. How many ships? Morrison asked, studying the data streams flowing across the main display. 87 confirmed contacts, replied Dr. Hayes, her voice tight with controlled excitement and fear. The largest ones are massive, bigger than anything we've ever built. They're decelerating now, which means they want to stop here, not just pass through the system. Morrison nodded slowly. He had hoped this day would never come, but he had also spent decades preparing for it. The Global Defense Initiative was officially a space debris monitoring organization. Unofficially, it was something much more significant. The alien fleet settled into orbit around Earth 3 days later. The ships were beautiful in a way that made humans feel primitive. They gleamed like silver and gold, their hulls covered in patterns that seemed to shift and flow in the sunlight. Energy fields surrounded each vessel, creating aurora-like displays of color. The smallest ships were the size of city blocks. The largest stretched nearly 8 kilometers from end to end. Admiral Patricia Reeves stood in the command center of the Lunar Defense Station, watching the alien formation through high-resolution telescopes. She was 58 years old with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Around her, officers monitored communication channels and tracked the movements of every alien vessel. "They're maintaining a stable orbit," reported Commander Sarah Kim, her tactical officer. "No aggressive maneuvers, but their weapon systems appear to be active. We're detecting massive energy signatures from their primary vessels." Admiral Reeves studied the formation. It was impressive, certainly designed to intimidate. But she had been studying alien contact scenarios for most of her career, and something about this felt familiar. It was a show of force, but a careful one. They wanted to demonstrate power without appearing immediately threatening. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," called the communications officer. "It's being broadcast on multiple frequencies in what appears to be translated English." "Put it through," Reeves ordered. The main screen shifted to show a being that was clearly not human. It stood upright, but was taller and more slender than any human. Its skin had a faint blue-silver tint, and its eyes were large and completely black. When it spoke, the words came through perfectly translated, though with a slight artificial cadence. "I am High Commander Zephyr of the Celestial Dominion," the being said. "We are explorers and peacekeepers from the core worlds of this galaxy. We have observed your species for some time and have come to make formal contact." The alien paused, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. Around the world, billions of people watched the broadcast in their homes and offices, many seeing their first confirmation that humanity was not alone in the universe. "Your species has achieved basic space travel and shows potential for growth," Zephyr continued. "However, you remain isolated and vulnerable. The galaxy contains many dangers that primitive civilizations cannot face alone. Pirates, hostile empires, cosmic phenomena that can destroy entire worlds." The transmission shifted to show images of space battles, destroyed planets, and alien cities in ruins. The message was clear. The universe was dangerous, and Earth was defenseless. The celestial dominion offers protection and guidance, Zephyr explained. Under our oversight, Earth would be defended from external threats. Your people would be granted access to advanced technology and knowledge. You would become part of something greater than your single world. Admiral Reeves felt her jaw tighten slightly. The offer sounded generous, but the underlying message was unmistakable. Submit to our authority, and we will protect you from the dangers we could easily become. To demonstrate our capabilities, Zephyr said, we will provide a small exhibition. The transmission switched to an external view. One of the medium-sized alien ships, still enormous by human standards, moved away from the fleet formation. It positioned itself near a large asteroid that had been captured in Earth's gravitational field years earlier. The alien ship extended what appeared to be weapon arrays. Brilliant beams of energy, more intense than anything humans had developed, lanced out toward the asteroid. The massive rock didn't explode or break apart. It simply ceased to exist, converted to plasma, and scattered particles in the space of seconds. This represents a fraction of our military capability. Zephyr's voice continued over the demonstration. Each vessel in our fleet carries weapons that could eliminate your largest cities in moments. Our defensive systems have never been breached by any known technology. We have protected 17 species across 43 worlds for over 8,000 years. The transmission returned to the alien commander. We do not wish to be conquerors. We prefer voluntary cooperation. Therefore, we will remain in orbit for 7 Earth days while your leadership considers our offer. We are confident you will make the wise decision. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in absolute silence for several moments. Then everyone began talking at once, voices mixing together in controlled chaos as officers reported to their stations and opened communication channels. Admiral Reeves raised her hand for silence. When the room quieted, she spoke calmly and clearly. Commander Kim, get me a secure channel to Director Morrison. Priority Alpha authorization. Everyone else, maintain normal monitoring protocols and prepare situation reports for the Global Council. What the aliens didn't know, and what only a handful of humans understood, was that Earth had been preparing for this scenario for over 40 years. Not preparing to surrender or negotiate, but preparing to fight. In 1983, a classified think tank had asked a simple question. If humanity encountered a hostile alien species with superior technology, how could Earth defend itself? The answer they developed became known as the Shadow Fleet Protocol. Director Morrison arrived at the lunar station 8 hours after the alien demonstration. He met privately with Admiral Reeves in her secure office, far from the monitoring equipment that alien technology might be able to penetrate. Assessment? Morrison asked without preamble. Classic intimidation tactic, Reeves replied. Show overwhelming force, demonstrate superior technology, offer protection in exchange for submission. They've probably done this to dozens of species. Morrison nodded. What they don't realize is that we've been watching them for longer than they know. Our deep space monitoring stations detected their approach 6 months ago. We've been tracking their communication patterns and analyzing their technology, activated a holographic display that showed the solar system beyond Earth's orbit. Red indicators appeared throughout the asteroid belt and around the gas giants. Shadow Fleet assets are at 90% readiness. All crews are at their stations. Weapons are charged and targeting solutions are locked. Admiral Reeves studied the display. The Shadow Fleet was humanity's best-kept secret. For 4 decades, under the cover of mining operations and scientific research, Earth had been building warships in the outer solar system. Not ships designed to explore or transport, but vessels built for one purpose: to kill enemy spacecraft as efficiently as possible. How many ships? She asked. 237 active vessels, Morrison replied. Stealth cruisers, attack frigates, missile boats, and the heavy destroyers. Plus over 3,000 autonomous combat drones. All designed using the doctrine of asymmetric warfare. The doctrine was simple. Don't try to match superior alien technology. Instead, use tactics and weapons that the aliens wouldn't expect from a primitive species. Humans had studied every guerrilla war in history, every battle where a smaller force had defeated a larger one, every example of underdogs achieving victory through intelligence, ruthlessness, and preparation. Asterisk. The Celestials expect us to be impressed by their energy weapons and defensive shields, Morrison continued. They're not prepared for kinetic kill vehicles traveling at 30% light speed. They're not ready for stealth ships that can approach undetected. They've never faced an enemy that attacks from every direction simultaneously. Admiral Reeves smiled grimly. They think they're dealing with a primitive planet with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. They have no idea we've been reverse engineering alien technology from every crash site and debris field we've found over the past century. Asterisk. What most humans didn't know was that this wasn't humanity's first contact with alien technology. Crashes, debris, and occasional encounters had been quietly studied and analyzed for decades. Earth's public technology remained deliberately primitive, while secret research programs developed weapons and systems based on alien science. Morrison pulled up tactical displays showing ship specifications. Our stealth cruisers use metamaterial cloaking that bends electromagnetic radiation around them. Our kinetic weapons fire projectiles of collapsed matter that can punch through any known shielding. Our electronic warfare systems can jam and blind alien sensors. And our crews have been training for this exact scenario. The Shadow Fleet wasn't crewed by traditional military personnel. Instead, it was staffed by volunteers from every nation on Earth. Scientists, engineers, pilots, and soldiers who had dedicated their lives to preparing for the day when humanity would have to fight for its freedom. Over the next 6 days, Earth appeared to be in chaos. News broadcasts showed heated debates about the alien offer. Protesters filled streets in major cities, some demanding immediate acceptance of protection, others calling for resistance at any cost. World leaders made public statements expressing everything from gratitude to defiance. What the aliens monitoring Earth's communications didn't realize was that the chaos was entirely manufactured. Every debate, every protest, every conflicted statement was designed to make humanity appear divided and vulnerable. Meanwhile, the real decisions were being made in secure bunkers and communication networks the aliens couldn't penetrate. On the 6th day, High Commander Zephyr broadcast another message to Earth. We have observed your debates and understand your concerns. Such reactions are common among species facing this transition. However, time grows short. Tomorrow, you must provide your final answer. The alien's tone was patient, but carried an underlying threat. We hope you will choose cooperation. The alternative would be unfortunate for all involved. That night, Admiral Reeves stood in the observation deck of the lunar station, looking out at the alien fleet hanging in space like silver jewels. They were beautiful, powerful, and confident in their superiority. They had no idea that in the darkness beyond their sensors, hundreds of human warships were moving into attack positions. Earth's answer would not be delivered with words. It would be delivered with weapons that would remind the galaxy that humanity had climbed to the top of their planet's food chain, not through superior size or strength, but through intelligence, adaptability, and an absolute refusal to surrender when cornered. The aliens thought they were negotiating with a primitive species. They were about to discover they had walked into the territory of apex predators. Asterisk. The awakening High Commander Zephyr stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Majesty, reading the final communication from Earth. The human leaders had requested one more day to complete their consultation with world governments. It was exactly what he expected from a divided species facing an inevitable decision. "They're stalling," observed Sub-Commander Lyrics, his tactical officer. "Their communications intercepts show continued disagreement among their leadership. Some regions want to accept our protection. Others speak of resistance." Zephyr's large black eyes reflected the light from the holographic displays showing Earth. Standard behavior for primitive species. They need time to accept reality. Their weapons cannot harm our ships. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Eventually, logic will prevail. What Zephyr didn't know was that at that very moment, Captain Maria Santos was making final preparations aboard the human stealth ship Silent Hunter, positioned just outside the alien fleet's sensor range. Santos was a former fighter pilot who had been selected for the Shadow Fleet program 15 years earlier. Her ship was one of 50 stealth cruisers now surrounding the alien formation in a 3-dimensional net of death. "All systems green," reported her weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Zhang Wei. "Kinetic penetrators loaded. Targeting computers locked on the alien flagship. Stealth field at maximum efficiency." Santos nodded, checking her chronometer. 47 minutes until the coordinated strike begins. "All ships report ready?" "Confirmed. 237 Shadow Fleet vessels in position. 3,000 autonomous drones armed and programmed. Electronic warfare units standing by to jam alien communications." The Silent Hunter was a masterpiece of human engineering, combining alien technology with human innovation. Its hull was covered in metamaterial that absorbed and redirected sensor waves, making it virtually invisible. Its weapons were kinetic kill vehicles, projectiles of compressed matter accelerated to relativistic speeds. No shields could stop them because they didn't use energy. They used pure physics. Back on the celestial flagship, Zephyr received Earth's final message. "We have completed our deliberations," the transmission began. It was President Alana Vasquez of the United Earth Government, speaking from the UN headquarters in Geneva. "The people of Earth appreciate the Celestial Dominion's offer of protection," President Vasquez said, her voice steady and diplomatic. "However, we have decided that humanity must chart its own course among the stars. We respectfully decline your offer and request that you depart our system peacefully." Zephyr's expression didn't change, but several of his officers shifted uncomfortably. This was not the response they had expected. In 8,000 years of expanding the Dominion, no species had ever refused their protection after seeing a demonstration of their power. "Sir," Sub-Commander Lyrics said carefully, "shall we begin pacification protocols?" Zephyr considered the question. Pacification meant destroying Earth's military infrastructure and forcing compliance through superior firepower. It was messier than voluntary submission, but it always worked eventually. Primitive species needed to see their defenses eliminated before they accepted the futility of resistance. "Begin Phase 1. Pacification," Zephyr ordered. "Target their orbital platforms and moon-based installations. Minimal damage to the planet itself. We want Earth intact and productive." The celestial fleet began to move, separating into attack formations. Energy weapons charged and targeting systems locked onto Earth's known military installations. To the aliens, this was routine. They had done it dozens of times before with species that initially resisted. Admiral Reeves watched the alien fleet movements from her command center. "They're beginning their attack run," she reported calmly. "All units, execute Shadow Protocol. Authorization Reeves Alpha 77. Across the solar system, human warships that had been drifting silent and invisible suddenly came alive. Engines ignited, weapons powered up, and communication systems activated on secured frequencies the aliens had never detected. "Captain." Santos felt the familiar weight of acceleration as the Silent Hunter shed its stealth field and burned hard toward the alien flagship. Around her, 49 other stealth cruisers appeared from nothing. Emerging from the darkness, like sharks rising from deep water. "Weapons free," Santos ordered. "Target the flagship's primary weapons array. Fire when ready." The kinetic penetrator launched from the Silent Hunter was invisible to the naked eye, a projectile the size of a baseball moving at 30% of light speed. It struck the Stellar Majesty's forward shield generator exactly 2.3 seconds after launch. Celestial shields were designed to absorb and deflect energy weapons. They had never been tested against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The penetrator punched through the energy field like it didn't exist, continued through 6 meters of advanced armor plating, and detonated deep inside the alien ship's power systems. Stellar Majesty lurched violently as explosions cascaded through its primary power grid. Emergency lights flashed across the bridge as backup systems struggled to compensate for the massive damage. Asterisk. What was that? Zephyr demanded, his calm demeanor cracking for the first time. "Unknown weapon impact on Section 7, reported the damage control officer. "Primary shields are down. Power systems operating at 60% capacity. Sir, we're detecting multiple bogey contacts approaching from all vectors." The main display lit up with red indicators as human ships appeared throughout the battle space. They came from above, below, and from every side. Ships that hadn't been there moments before now surrounded the celestial fleet in a carefully orchestrated formation. Commander Morrison's voice echoed from the flag bridge of the human dreadnought Defiance, a massive vessel that had been constructed in secret shipyards beyond Jupiter. "Attention, celestial fleet. This is the Shadow Fleet of the United Earth Government. You have entered our space without permission and threatened our world. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Zephyr stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans had more ships than his intelligence had indicated was possible. Worse, their vessels were attacking with weapons and tactics his forces had never encountered. Asterisk. "Impossible," he muttered. "There are primitive species. How do they have stealth technology? How are their weapons penetrating our shields?" Sub-Commander Lyrix's voice was tight with barely controlled panic. "Sir, we're detecting over 200 hostile contacts. Unknown ship types, unknown weapons systems. They're jamming our communications and targeting our command vessels specifically." The battle that followed was unlike anything the Celestial Dominion had ever experienced. For 8,000 years, they had fought primitive species with chemical rockets and basic energy weapons. They had never faced an enemy that had studied their tactics, reverse-engineered their technology, and developed specific countermeasures for their standard operating procedures. Human missile boats launched swarms of autonomous drones programmed with artificial intelligence derived from studying celestial combat patterns. The drones didn't just attack randomly, they coordinated their assaults, overwhelmed point defense systems, and targeted critical ship components with surgical precision. Captain Lisa Chang commanded the destroyer Vengeance, armed with electronic warfare systems that broadcast jamming signals across every frequency the aliens used, targeting their fleet coordination protocols, she reported. "Their ships are losing the ability to communicate with each other." The Celestial Fleet, accustomed to overwhelming primitive enemies through coordinated firepower, found themselves fighting as individual ships against an enemy that moved and struck like a pack of wolves. On the Stellar Majesty, alarms rang constantly as damage reports flooded in. Forward weapons offline. Hull breaches on sections 3 through 9. Life support failing in the engineering compartments, a damage control officer reported. Zephyr realized with growing horror that his flagship, a vessel that had never been seriously damaged in battle, was being systematically destroyed by weapons he didn't understand. Around him, other celestial ships were suffering similar fates. The humans didn't just have superior numbers, they had superior tactics. "All ships withdraw to safe distance," Zephyr ordered. "Emergency jump preparations. But the human electronic warfare systems had been specifically designed to prevent that exact maneuver. Every time a celestial ship attempted to activate its faster-than-light drive, human jamming signals disrupted the complex calculations required for the jump. Admiral Reeves watched the battle unfold from her command center with grim satisfaction. "Target their remaining command ships," she ordered. "I want their fleet command structure completely disrupted." The human attack was relentless and precise. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategic decision had been planned and rehearsed for decades. The Shadow Fleet didn't just fight the aliens, they dismantled them with clinical efficiency. Within 2 hours, the mighty celestial fleet was reduced to scattered, damaged ships desperately trying to escape. More than half their vessels were destroyed or disabled. The remainder were fleeing toward the outer system, their formations broken and their coordination shattered. High Commander Zephyr stood on his ruined bridge, staring at the tactical display showing human ships pursuing his retreating fleet. Everything he thought he knew about primitive species had been shattered in a single battle. "Sir," Sub-Commander Lyrics said quietly, "the humans are broadcasting a message." Admiral Reeves appeared on the screen, her expression calm but implacable. "High Commander Zephyr, your fleet is defeated. Your ships are damaged, your communications are jammed, and your escape routes are blocked. However, Earth does not wish to completely destroy the Celestial Dominion." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We offer you the same choice you offered us. Withdraw from this system immediately and spread the word throughout the galaxy. Earth is under the protection of humanity. Any species that approaches our world with peaceful intentions will be welcomed. Any species that comes with threats will face the same fate as your fleet." Zephyr looked around his destroyed bridge, at the faces of his crew showing fear and confusion. For 8,000 years, the Celestial Dominion had been the hunters. In one terrible day, they had learned what it felt like to be prey. "We withdraw," Zephyr transmitted back. "But this is not over. The Dominion will not forget this defeat." Admiral Reeves smiled coldly. "We're counting on that, Commander. When word of this battle reaches the core worlds, every species in the galaxy will know that Earth is defended by something far more dangerous than advanced technology. We're defended by humans. The surviving celestial ships limped out of the solar system, their faster-than-light drives finally functional once the human jamming ceased. They carried with them a message that would reshape galactic politics. Humanity was not a primitive species to be conquered. They were apex predators disguised as prey, and they had just announced their presence to the galaxy. In the weeks that followed, long-range sensors detected alien ships approaching from multiple directions. But these vessels didn't come armed for conquest. They came as diplomats and traders, seeking to establish peaceful relations with the species that had handed the mighty Celestial Dominion their first defeat in millennia. Earth had passed its first test among the stars, not through submission or hiding, but by demonstrating the fundamental truth that had carried humanity from caves to starships. When cornered, humans don't surrender. They fight back with everything they have, and they usually win. Asterisk.